All right, we had a massively long buy, hold, risk, sell. If you've balked at that and you've come to the short version, here we are. I did forget Seb Chris, so we're going to lock him in as our first guy to talk about. And people saying he has a massive break even. He's nowhere near that. It's in the mid-30s. And at 400k, yes, he had a shocker last week, but so did Ethan Strange. Like, people saying that Seb Chris is scoring terribly, I think it's a big mistake. Obviously, with, Fogarty being gone, yes, it's one player, and yes, they have a bye coming up, and he plays round 13. He's centre and wing fullback cover. He went 34, 35, and 40 the 3 weeks before. It just feels like a mistake to me. His meters gained dropped all the way from 163 2 weeks in a row down to 70. Strange had a shocker, and I don't think he's a sell. So I would be holding on to Seb Chris every day of the week in this one. So yeah, it just seems a mistake to me. Hold on. KO Weeks, I think you hold off until round 11 for KO Weeks. He kicked plenty of meters this week. They have a bye next week. I think you see how the split goes between him and Strange, because Strange kicked in the trials and then KO Weeks has come in and kicked in this one. So it could switch very easily. I'm going to watch this week. He'll only be a tick over 300k if he scores well, and that's still cheap enough to get in round 11, in my opinion. Chevy Stewart just looks like he's been rested, so you've got a 2-week holiday for Chevy. He does, and he should stay in your team at 264. No point selling. I've got Strange as a hold as well. As I said, with Chris, Strange went 37, 46, 50, 35 into a 14. That's obviously the low one for him. I would not be selling Ethan Strange. James Schiller, I think it is time to go for him at 446. It's a nice price. He's done really well, but he's been dropped now with Abba Hopewadi and Nicotri coming back. They're resting Chevy and Schiller still gets dropped. So I think now's the time to move him on. Very hit and miss as to if he's going to be in this side or not, in my opinion there. So move him on. Simi Sasangi, similar situation at 323k. It's not super expensive, but he's lost his spot. He's completely out of the 17 now. And unless Whitehead or Hudson Young get injured, I can't see him coming back in. So he's someone you could move on as well. That's the Raiders contingent. David Armstrong. Sounds like Barry Tui said that if he continues to play well, he will keep his spot, which is massive news. He's a terrific fantasy style player, running the footy well, tackle breaks galore at 11, picked up a try and a couple of line breaks. Don't expect that every week, but I also wouldn't expect a couple of missed tackles and an error. 3 errors every single week. So Armstrong, negative break even, I think is a really good purchase and the best cheapie this week. We go to Jaden Brayley. He's a really good mid-range hooker buy this week. We know that when he plays over 70 minutes, he's very close to a 50 average type of guy. And the big thing with Jaden is just hoping that he can get through without being injured. So fingers crossed for Jaden that he can do that. And he'll be a really good option this week in the mid-range for the hooking position. Easy swap from Joey Lussick, that's for sure. Dane Gagai, he's the best premium centre buy of the week with the goal kicking. Average 54 last year. He's at 48.5. His average this year priced at 48. He could definitely go back up to where he was and has that little added benefit of some comfort in the goal kicking as well, which is awesome for Gagai. Playing round 13, 14, 19, and 17, 19, and 20 there. Missing round 12, that's all, which isn't a big buy. Ruben Garrick, DCE is playing now, so that's good news for Ruben, in my opinion. They have 2 nice matchups here, Canberra into Dolphins, so he can score really well. And if you do wait too long, then he's up against the Broncos and Melbourne. He might be closer to 600k by that point, but with a break even that's not out of this world, in the sort of anywhere between the high 20s to 30s, he's a good purchase this week to cover you for pretty much the entirety of the year, or at worst, you could probably move him on in their bye in round 22 when that one is. So yeah, up to you on that one. I think Garrick's a good purchase this week as one of the better center, wing, fullback, mid-tier type of guys. Jacob Kiraz, a little bit above that. So I think it's either you grab him this week or you wait until the Canberra matchup in 2 weeks' time in round 11, because he's 50k more expensive than what Garrick is, but he also plays round 13 and he's doing really well on the base stats side. So Jacob Kiraz, a great one to hold and potentially buy as well. Kaipius Paul got a 30 on the weekend. It was his worst score by far. With every game that he had available. Obviously, round 1 he played, he scored better in sort of 40 odd minutes. So he'll be fine. It was just a tough game across the board. Low tackle numbers, missed tackles and errors, and a penalty. He'll be better than that this week coming. Max Plath, very close to the best mid/half option here. He covers both, 611k. Should be getting closer at 60 minutes, and I still think he's a 50 to 50 odd type of scorer that plays all 3 major buys. He's a classic buy this week. Trey Fuller, a lot more risk associated and attached to him at 513k. He was obviously incredible last week and the week before with 57 and 68. There's a lot to think about when Hammer comes back. He's going to miss games over the next bunch of weeks, over the Origin period. But does he play those 3 major buys? That's what I want him for. And these couple of great weeks. And I think it might be a tougher buy this week than it was last week at 450. So it's a risk. Is it worth taking? It could potentially be, but it's definitely a risk. Cleary, I think, is going to outdo Hines this week. He plays up against the Bunnies, so he's probably the best captaincy option. I only have Hines, so I'm locked in on Hines up against Dragons. I still think that's a great one last week. The game he returned last year in 2023 was the game that he was against the Dragons. He got 98 in 72 minutes. So I still think that he's, they're pretty level there, but I do think Cleary got that warm-up game last week, and he's 90k cheaper. So if you want to buy him, that's cool, but be aware that he's definite for Origin. Hines is a 50-50, I'd say, for Origin at this point. John Bateman, he's probably close to the best purchase after Plath in that sort of price range. A 642 when he plays big minutes over the last couple of years, whether it's in the middle or it's in the second row position, he's a 57.5 average in those 80-minute games. So if that's what continues here, he's got 100k to make and he's underpriced by about anywhere between, let's say, 5 on the short side for a 51 average up to a 57.5 there between second row and lock. If he plays sort of 50 minutes, 55 minutes in the middle and then 25 on an edge, he's got, that 100k or so to make. Samuel Alafanu, a really easy guy to have in your side there at 430k. I think you can hold off this week. Buying is also fine. He's been named on the edge again and should get good minutes. But you can watch this week, see what happens when he's not off in the sin bin. But he's not going to make too much cash and could easily be a buy next week. Got Adam Fonua-Blake at 780 along with Tohu Harris. They're both at the peak of their price, in my opinion, and still really good purchases. Not playing Origin, obviously, but they're, you're not going to make money off them. So up to you on that one. If you like them, lock them in. I don't play round 13. Terrell May, 620, probably the first on our sells list. It's very frustrating at the moment. He could easily go back to some good minutes, but 3 of the last 4 weeks has been low minutes, and I suppose that is more of what we probably expect than the alternative, so you can move him on. I think Taylor May is closer to the hold side than the sell side. He's surely due some tries or try assists or line breaks, some more tackle breaks or offloads over the next few weeks. It's been a tough little run for him, but left center for Panthers. Surely you get some tries at some point, and up against the Bunnies this week, I'd be holding. Connor Watson, if we hear anything about Radley returning and on the edge, not in the 13 role, Connor Watson is a clear buy. He is going to get a 50 plus average if he keeps that 13 role. But that's the big question. Does he keep the 13 role? Sammy Walker, a terrific purchase this week at 557 as well. We expect about a 49 average from him if he continues to get the big minutes and, continues to get the big kick meters, and looks like he will be running the side with Kiri looking to step aside and let Sam do so. So that's 9 points of value and a guy that won't play Origin unless DCE is out. Brandon Smith, hold or sell? Completely fine on that. The minutes are a little bit annoying. He has been sick, especially in round 7. He came out and said he wasn't well and may have contributed to lower minutes last week as well. And then he could go back to high 60s in the next ones. But we did see in previous weeks that he got some benefit from some injuries in games and he was able to play more minutes. So hold or sell is fine. Jamin Jolliffe, probably next on the list just because he's a bit more expensive, but I do expect him to be a 52 to 53 type of average guy. And if he can continue to get 60 minutes, he might be a little bit of a 55 guy. He's a great option. Plays around 14, 16, 19, 20, and unlikely to play Origin at this point. So good stuff for him there. Joey Lussick, hold or sell, completely fine on that front. Buy this week, potentially losing minutes to hands. You could wait this week, use him as a looper, and then next week see what's happening with Brennan Hands, and if he's on the bench or not to make that decision. Daniel Atkinson for the Sharkies, 245, half and wing fullback dual. Similar to that of Weeks, but doesn't have the big kick meters, but is in a good team. Coming up into some tougher opponents over the next few weeks, but I doubt that Trindle comes back straight away. And even if he does come back in about 3 weeks or whatever it is after the court date, if Hines plays Origin, you get Atkinson for 13, 19, potentially 14 if he doesn't back up. Like, you get some extras out of Atkinson, which is nice. Jermaine Hopgood, I think it's a mistake if you're selling him, so I would be holding just based on the fact that he's averaging 58 and it's hard to do so. Api Koroisau, hold or sell, completely fine. He's been pretty poor since round 3. Round 2 and 3 absolutely crushed it. He's been pretty poor since, so up to you on that one. It's a gamble either way. Olukwatu, I think he's a sell now. If he's going to miss 5 of the next 10 up till round 17. If he makes Origin, it's even worse. So yeah, out for 2 weeks this week. I think it's a sell. He's done a good job, but you can get him to anyone you want. If you need to get Hines, Cleary, use them to do that. Danny Levi at 368, hold or sell. I think he's done as a good scorer. You don't really want to play him in your 17. You'd only be holding him for round 13 as a hooking player. And if you've got any of the other hookers, I think that it's easy to sell. Now at 368, he is done. And only played 40 on the weekend. Gutho is out injured. He's just done some surgery. So it looks like Talangi is a good chance of playing the fullback spot next week. Don't know if it's exactly going to be the case or it'll be Dejan Asi. But if you have Talangi right now, I think hold for another week and see what happens. Yes, a higher break even, but if you can get him for a few weeks, he should be able to do okay. And but at least be a player in the next few. Fifita, if you want to take a bit of a plunge, I think that he's the guy to grab this week. Right-hand side defense for Melbourne's been pretty poor, and Fifita's a gun. So yeah, if you can get the 80 minutes too, even better. But he's only got that the once this year in round 5, and he's got 58. So I expect him to get about a 60-odd average if he over the next 4 weeks for sure. But he'll play Origin. Jerome Hughes, probably the next best half. Very expensive at that. Priced at 56, averaging 59. If he keeps something similar to this, then you'd be absolutely cheering with that, but doesn't play round 13, so something to note there. Scotty Drinkwater, him and Dylan Edwards, the two guys we'll speak about here, both are the best wing fullback options for round 13 as an elite scorer category. Both unlikely. I say Edwards maybe 30-40% chance of playing Origin, Drinkwater lower than that. So both of those guys fairly safe to buy this week and should be able to score really well. Edwards against Bunnies, Drinkwater a nice run with Dolphins, Titans, Rabbitohs, and the Tigers over the next few weeks before playing round 13. Cam McInnes is 722. I think he's a clear hold. People are selling him. It just feels like a mistake when you've got 51 into 70, 58, one low score at 35 into a 61. Yes, with a try, but he does score tries sometimes. Hold. Reece Walsh, 637. I don't think he's a buy this week. I think last week was the play. This week it feels like he's too close to Origin now with a tough matchup in Roosters. Like it'll be a fun slog, that's for sure. But I just feel like 20k cheaper, an extra game in his runway before Origin was probably the play. So there you go. That's Reece Walsh, in my opinion. Obviously clearly holding. Don't think he's a clear buy, but a solid one if you wanted to. Josh Curran, another good mid/edge option that plays round 13, 14, 16, 17. So that's really cool. Missed last week and misses around 15. He's due some attacking stats. He's a bit low on the tackle break and offload numbers and nothing in the tries, line breaks, try assists, all of the like. So I definitely think he's due for a little bit of that. But playing front row, is it going to come? That's the question. But he'll be solid over that time anyway. Harmsele, if you need a cheap mid, he's the guy at 406, that mid-tier type of price. Doing good things at the moment with big minutes, 44 and 40. If he plays anywhere near the 50 minutes, he's probably got close to 10 points of value and will do a job for you. Jesse Ramian as a mid-tier centre option of 556. It feels a little bit gross to try and grab him now after the big score, given he's got Melbourne, Roosters and Panthers after this Dragons game. So definitely a risk, but we know that he can have big games and Hines might stick a little bit more to that right-hand side with Trindle being out. And then Bronson Xerri to finish things off at 479, a little bit cheaper than that. But again, I'd be looking to go for a Ruben Garrick if you were in that sort of mid-tier centre or wing fullback type of category. Bronson, left-hand side's absolutely crushing it for the Dogs, but he does come up against Panthers following this one. And he's got a 26, a 59, and a 31 in his 3 games. So he's priced at 34. He's only got 1 out of the 3 above that number. So he's a tough one to grab, in my opinion. But there you go. That's the short, sharp version of the buy, hold, risk it, and sell. I hope you enjoyed that one. It's good to have it back after not having it there last week. Good luck this week in round 9, and hopefully you make the correct trades. If you're holding, even better for you. Good luck with that. See you guys.